Hello, Victor here, and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about how to save money on utilities. In this video, I'm going to be talking about 3 different categories for utilities: water, electricity, and connectivity. We've all heard the classic tips and tricks. Turn off the water while you're brushing your teeth, turn out the lights when you leave the room. But what if you're already doing all of those things? What are some sneaky, super special, expert level moves that you can make when it comes to saving money on your utilities? The following video contains a list of less conventional ideas. I've personally used each and every one of these ideas to some extent at some point or another. Let's start by looking at water. Now, my water bill is less than $10 a month in the average month. Now, there's also like a $5 service fee that's just like a baseline fee that you pay, and so my monthly water bill that I actually pay usually ends up being around $15. But in general, my water bill is relatively low. For size context, I have 1 toilet and 2 sinks in my apartment. I have 2 ideas here for you in this category. The first one is to do your dishes somewhere else. Now, I would rather not take this one too extreme, so for me, this looks like doing my lunch dishes at work. This means that I'm not using the water to wash my dishes at home. Of course, I'm washing my breakfast and dinner dishes at home and all of the dishes that I use to cook with at home, but just that little bit of getting to very thoroughly wash my dishes at work does save a little bit of water there. Now, the second idea is much more of a heavy hitter. I think this is really what I can attribute to my very, very low water bill, and that is to shower at the gym. Now, I really like this idea because it's kind of a cycle where I convince myself to go to the gym because then I get to shower at the gym, which will save me money on water. And on the other side, when I go to the gym, I force myself to shower at the gym so that I save money on water. So it's this self-perpetuating cycle of I am always going to the gym every day, which is good for my physical health, and I'm also showering at the gym every day, which is good for my wallet. On average, I would say that I shower at home about once a week, if that, just because I do try and get out to the gym on a daily basis, whether I'm just going in for a quick, rest day yoga session, or whether I'm actually lifting weights or doing cardio of some sort. The second category I want to talk about here is electricity. My electricity bill comes to about $25 a month pretty consistently, and about $12 of that is a monthly base level service charge that you just have to pay regardless of how much electricity you use. So in the winter months, I am spending around $15 for the actual electricity part of my bill, and in not the winter, I am usually spending more around $10 for the actual electricity. I have 2 ideas here for electricity conservation. The first is to turn things off when they're not in use. This one seems pretty obvious, but if you have a power strip that's plugged into the wall, and it's got that little green or red LED light on there that tells you, hey, I'm plugged in and ready to go, even though the power strip is off, guess what? That LED bulb is actually costing you electricity, right? So we can unplug things, we can turn them off when we're not using them. The one here that's probably saved me the most money is turning off my water heater when I'm not using it. If you watch the last 30 seconds of this video, you'll know that I try to shower at the gym as much as possible, which means that I don't shower at home all that much. This means that really heating a whole entire water tank in order to have warm showers doesn't really make sense. So I just flip it in my circuit breaker and turn that water heater off until I'm ready to use it. My water heater takes about 15 minutes, if that, maybe 10 minutes, to heat up to being able to not die of cold in the shower temperatures, so it's really not that much of a hassle. The second tip here has saved me a lot of electricity money, and that is to use temperature control minimally. This one seems pretty obvious, but if it's really cold outside and you're heating your house to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, that's going to be expensive. And if it's 100 degrees outside in the summertime and you're cooling your house off to 60 degrees Fahrenheit in the summer, that's also going to be very expensive. I personally am an outdoorsman and a nature enthusiast, and so I really like to be outside, and I go camping in all kinds of weather, and so I'm used to kind of temperature extremes, and honestly, I prefer my living space to be closer to the outside temperature than to not the outside temperature, even if that's really cold or really hot, just because I feel more acclimated with my environment and I feel more in touch with what's going on around me. With that said, this past winter, I turned on my heat I think 3 times, and that was for about 10 hours apiece as I was sleeping, when the temperature outside was well below freezing and my apartment temperature had gotten to below 60 degrees. And so I just turned on the heat so that I could sleep a little bit better. Aside from that, I use techniques like opening the windows nice and big during the winter when it's sunny to kind of get the sun radiative heat to come inside. In the summer, I'll close off the blinds so that the heat kind of stays outside, and open windows overnight when it's cooler out to kind of help temperature control my space a little bit without actually using electricity to do that. This is definitely not something that would work for everyone. For example, my mother is very, very temperature sensitive. Like, she really, really hates the heat and needs the house to be at exactly 67 degrees Fahrenheit, or she is miserable in the summers. If you're someone like that, this is not going to work for you at all. This has worked really well for me because I generally enjoy being more in tune with my surroundings. I do have a third bonus tip for you here that you've probably heard of, and that is to use off-peak electrical hours. So if your power company is one that charges a premium for using electricity during the normal hours that people are using electricity, so that's like, 6 a.m. until 10 p.m., then this might be a good tip for you. So if you do things like your laundry, or running your dishwasher, or your dryer, or your hair dryer, or anything that takes electricity, and you do those between the hours of 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. or on the weekends, sometimes the electricity company will charge you a lower rate because it's off-peak hours. My electric company doesn't do this. They just have like a flat rate for every hour of the week. So that doesn't really apply to me, but it is one that has applied to me in the past when I've lived other places using different electric companies, and it has been relatively effective. So I would recommend doing that if this applies to you. The third category I want to talk about is perhaps the most controversial. This is on the topic of connectivity. When I say connectivity, I'm talking phone and internet. Now, this is something where I have personally made a very intentional, and some would say extreme, lifestyle choice. I have made the very intentional decision to not have internet in my apartment. Gasp, sigh, what? Who could do that? Yeah, no internet. Now, the reasoning here has a lot of personal choice and lifestyle factors going into it. The short version is I wanted my home space to be a creative space where I could do what I want when I wanted without feeling connected all the time and pressured from the outside world to be online and be seen by all of my friends all the time. This obviously would not work for everyone. But for me, this has saved me $40 to $80 a month on an internet bill that I would very rarely use. How do I access the internet, you might ask? Well, at work, I'm connected to the internet as long as I'm at work, of course, right? For internet usage at home, I live in an apartment community that has a business center that's connected to like the clubhouse and the gym and the pool and all of that kind of stuff. And so if I was at home and needed to use the internet, I could go down to the business center and get done what I needed to get done. Now, the third very pleasant surprise that I was not expecting when I decided on this lifestyle choice for myself is that I'm actually friends with my neighbors downstairs who have very graciously given me their internet password. So I don't actually not have internet in my apartment, it just only reaches my closet. So I've set up my home office in my closet for when I need to like be at home and get work done and do things, and it's fantastic. But the rest of my living space is totally internet free, so I can still have that creative space for myself. The internet plan I would be paying for is $80. So this is saving me about $80 a month in an internet bill, which is phenomenal. Also, if you think about, like, the places you go and the things you do, like, I don't know, anywhere that I would go would have internet, just, like, casually, like, if I were going to a restaurant or a bar, like, it wouldn't be a problem to hop on the internet if I needed it. The second point here is the phone bill. So, I think phone bills are completely ridiculous. People pay, like, upwards of $50 a month just to have a phone. My phone bill is free. I really like that. It's great. I've also, in the past, been on like very low level phone bills that were like on the order of $10 or $15 a month, which I think is much more reasonable than this $50 nonsense that people pay. Some people even pay like $100-something for their phone bills. I don't understand. I don't get it. Like that's just too expensive. So what is this free phone plan or this $10 or $15 phone plan? I'll tell you, it is a Wi-Fi only plan. And so what happens with these Wi-Fi only plans is your data is all on Wi-Fi. You still have calls and texts and emergency calls and all of that kind of stuff through the cellular network, and so you get that anywhere regardless of where you are. But for me, since I am in an urban environment where there's basically internet everywhere, my data comes through the internet, and because I have opted to not have data on the cellular network, they basically don't charge me as much money. So there are a lot of companies out there that do these kinds of phone plans, and I would highly recommend looking into them. Depending on how attached you are to your phone and how much you want it to 100% all the time be there and be giving you information, this might not be for you, because obviously if you're not on Wi-Fi, you won't be getting the data unless you want to pay a little bit extra for it. And even at that, like, usually it's way less than your traditional phone plans. So I'd still recommend this. A few companies out there that do this. There's Xfinity Mobile, so if you pay for Xfinity Internet, you can buy a phone through them and then get basically, I think it's free, or now you pay for a little bit of data, phone service through them. Then there's also companies like Republic Wireless, who have been in this internet-only phone plan business for many years. They're really good. They have great customer service, so I would definitely recommend them. Anyhow, at the end of the day, this isn't really about not having the luxuries in life. It's about really cutting back and saving where you can. So the difference between a $15 phone bill and a $100 phone bill, like, to me, is astronomical. That's like $85 that I could do, like, literally anything with. So I would much rather have that back than be paying it to the phone company. Again, this is not something that works for everyone, and since I don't have internet at my home, obviously I don't have the data on my phone at home unless I go into my closet where I do have internet access. So that is something that some people might consider, like, maybe this would work well if you pick either the internet or the phone, but not both. I don't know, whatever works for you. This works for me, so I hope you're able to find something that will be helpful for you here. And that's all I've got. We've covered everything from really easy to implement things like unplugging your electronics when you're not using them, to really radical lifestyle decisions like not having internet at your house. Until next time.